Hello and welcome to the Road to Worlds Regional Rundown. This is week 6. How do you push up the numbers on your regional? Well, one idea is to have a national take place at the same venue the following day. And that's what happened in one country this week, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute. We've also got the results of the first regionals in Florida. First, with me as always, is my co-host, Greg Dillon.
Hello.
How's it going, Greg?
Very good.
And our guest this week, from South Dakota, he's host drone on the forums, it's Kevin Jaeger.
How's it going, guys?
Good to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
Got some regionals coming up in your area. We'll be talking about those in a little bit.
Sure.
First, we're going to recap events that took place this past weekend. As I was just talking about, there was a regional in Denmark and also a national. They ran regionals and nationals on the same weekend. And they kind of had a British invasion as Will Hoskin and Nick Yankovic came over from the UK and played in both events. Looking at the regional first, because I think the regional took place first. I think that was Saturday, and then the national was Sunday. So they had 8 players for the regional in Denmark, and the winner was Morten Sandberg, who I don't think was on anybody's prediction list. And he was running a Ferengi deck.
Yeah, it just seemed like a basic Ferengi deck too, like large, lots of rules, a few equipment. He wasn't using the mission, I can't remember if that gives you an extra turn though.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this one, it seemed in the regional that more people were trying their Return to Grey stuff. There was 3 Bajoran decks, and at least 2 of them had the new Bajor with orbs in a session and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. 3 Bajoran decks on here. Second place was a Relativity. One person actually tried a Con build. And then a TOS and a Romulan also on the list. So yeah, a lot of people are still trying Bajorans and trying to make them work. Not seeing a lot of Cardassian since Return to Grace came out. There's been a little bit, but a lot of people are trying the Bajorans, but I don't know. They don't seem to be doing as well, I think, as people hoped.
Well, I'm surprised at some of the results from what I saw. There's a couple of people that played those Bajorans, and I'm shocked they didn't do better with them. And maybe it was just bad luck or just some bad timing or things just didn't go their way. But there was a couple of people that were running those cards, they were running those builds that surprised me that they didn't do better.
Yeah, certainly. Right. Just on this event, there were people we predicted that they didn't get there, and yeah, that probably, I don't know, could have been a bad matchup, could have been bad luck, but
well, I don't wonder. I mean, I kind of have the benefit of having played with the cards longer than pretty much anybody who would have been at that event. And I'm surprised that they aren't doing better. I think that maybe it's just a question that some people have, maybe most people have figured out the best way of handling them yet, that they're trying to apply older methodologies to how they're playing with the cards. That they're not, that they're going, A, B, C instead of D, X, Y instead, that, I don't know. And it's just all pure conjecture, having not seen those games played out and not having picked the brains of those players. I guess I don't really know. It's all pure conjecture at this point.
Yeah, it's still not too long after the set release, and I think people are still experimenting with them and tweaking them, and the Bajoran deck, it's a nut they haven't cracked yet. They're gonna keep working on it, and I don't know. There probably is a tournament-winning Bajoran deck out there, and I think they just haven't found it yet.
I truly believe that there is. I truly believe that there is one out there, and that people will, eventually figure it out, and then it'll be just kind of out there and stuff. So I mean, I mean, one of the online tournaments that was being run here recently, I was playing pure Bajorans with the new headquarters, and I was having a good time with them, and I think these are fun and good, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's just they got a lot of tools and there's a lot of moving parts now. It's just getting the right number of orbs, using the orbs at the right time, using a session at the right mission attempts, and just putting all the tools together and getting it to work smoothly to get the solvers going.
Yeah, it's like playing the Borg. It's you gotta know when to do things and what to do at what time, and yeah, a lot of moving parts. And in fact, I played against a Bajoran deck at our at my recent regional in Florida this weekend, and that was exactly what I said. I was just watching my opponent work, and I'm like, I feel like I'm playing against a Borg deck. He's just switching out personnel and putting people in his discard pile, and just like, all right, I'll just wait for you to attempt your mission, and just let me know.
Well, part of that whole idea of having so many moving parts is then as the player who's playing it's right for you to accidentally make a critical mistake or make a mistake you don't even realize that you're making at the time that you're making it, and then you realize 2 minutes later that you're not playing optimally at that moment, and then all it takes is one good dilemma play by an opponent, and it brings it all down over your head.
Mm-hmm. Well, in any case, Morten Sandberg is the winner of the regional, and he will earn a bye for European Continentals. I'll look at Nationals really quick. I didn't look over the deck list for this one, but I did look at the results for Danish Nationals, and the winner for this event was Tobias Rausman. This was a 9-player event, and Tobias was one or at least one of our picks to win the regional. And he was running a Romulan deck. And
yeah, it just looked like standard European Romulan, very large, lots of events.
Speaking of many moving parts.
Yes. Yes, and this was mostly the same play group, but like everyone was in a different order here. And this one, Nick Yankovic came in second, and he was running Klingons. And the field was a very diverse field. There was only, there were 8 different affiliations played, eight different headquarters played out of 9 decks.
Between the two tournaments, looking at those results, it seems to me like our theory is kind of holding true that for the last tournament we were just talking about, a lot of people were trying stuff out, and I think it's reflected in the results that Morten, he was playing something that he was very comfortable with, at least that's the way it looked, while everyone else is trying some things out and suffered for it. Whereas the tournament we're now looking at, you've got certain players playing decks that they are known for playing all the time. And
they're all favorites.
Yeah, looking between the two events, the regional definitely looks like people trying new decks, and then the Nationals looked a lot like older decks that people just know already that they work. They're proven decks.
Exactly.
Well,
it's like I don't know. It's just like peanut butter and jelly. It's like you just think of those two things together all the time, So.
I'm going to look at the buy situation really quick because Nationals was a little odd in that Danish Nationals awards 2 buys. However, Tobias already has one. He was handed one down at a previous regional earlier this year, and Nick Yankovic was in second, and he already has a bye from a previous regional win. So the buys get handed down to 3rd and 4th place, which means that Peter Moeller and Will Hoskin both will earn buys into European Continentals. So congrats to them as well. Going to look really quickly at there was one Tribbles regional in Germany. It was a 5-player event, and somebody called this one, and it wasn't me. It was either you or Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie got it. Rita Odd won. She continued her 100% winning record, 2 from 2, until they played another triples tournament after that one where she came last.
Oh. Yep, she won the event. She had almost 1,000,000 triples. She had 972,000. Thomas Schneider came in second. It's a 5-player event. Interesting to see a triples regional run on its own without a 1E or a 2E backing it up. But hey, they sanctioned it. They ran it. It fired. So good for them.
More than one person saying recently that triples is the way to get people into playing the other Trek games that we have. And it's going to be that way this weekend for my regionals too. That there's going to be some names that you're going to see only on the triples playlist for our regionals this weekend because in fact they're kind of easing into everything because they're longtime Magic players and stuff who are very comfortable with card games, but for that reason they're just kind of tipping their toes at this point.
Sure, I think you're right. Triples does make a good gateway game, and that's one locally. I've gotten a lot of just friends that aren't interested in track or find 1E or 2E just way too complicated, but they'll come over and they'll play a few rounds of triples. So yeah, it definitely allows for a more diverse environment, I think. So now I'm going to move to Florida. We had our first regionals out here this past weekend. They were not my regionals; those are coming up in 2 weeks. But out in Orlando, there were 2E and triples events, and I made it out to both of these. Well, they were on the same day. The 2E event drew 10 players, which pretty good for a regional this season. I want to say that might be the second highest so far. But
yeah, I think the Illinois one was the only one larger.
The Illinois had the 16.
Yeah.
Their 2E event, yeah. So 10's pretty decent. As many of you probably predicted, Thomas Kimura was the winner. He was running a TNG Speed Solver. I actually came in second. I was running Relativity. And let's see. Jeffrey Peterson came in third. He was running Starfleet. I didn't play against him, so I didn't really get a look at his deck. Except I think it was a damaged Starfleet deck, and it had Makos in it. So there was...
yeah, damaged Starfleet.
Yeah. I know that TK was saying that it was a deck that he was thinking of building, and he didn't get it put together in time. But all in all, there were two Relativity decks in the event. Mine and Rick Kinney's, which placed fourth. There was one Bajoran deck, the Return to Grace Bajorans, which ended up coming in sixth. And yeah, again, another event where a lot of Federation in the top of the event. The first 5 decks, 4 out of 5 were Federation decks, and the 5th was a Starfleet deck. Federations of various flavors. My second place finish, I think, is cementing that Relativity is a great affiliation to play second with.
Yeah, if Chris was here in my place, he'd talk for the next 10 minutes about how Relativity is this year's flavor of second place and has been. I think it was last year too. I think he was talking about that last year too, and I have to agree with him. Relativity
was last year too, yeah.
Yeah. Man, Relativity is amazing for making sure that if you play it right, you'll have a solid finish. I mean, it's a solid blue affiliation that's pulling, all the best pieces from blue, and that's going to allow you to have some power. But my observation from having, seen and played relativity is it lacks explosive capability. You will chug along very reliably, but you'll have a hard time making an explosive move. And if someone else is playing something thoroughly janky, then you're going to have a harder time keeping up with that. So,
Yeah.
You know, it folds to a lot of things like board assimilation and whatever, decks that are capable of making a big push in one turn on you. So.
Yeah, didn't see any of that in my event. There was no board, there was no marquee, not a lot of disruption or interaction going on. All of my other games, my deck was very fast out the gate, attempting on turn 3. One game was even turn 2. Yeah, the one game I lost was to TK, and it was actually a very close game because they were both very fast decks, and again, there was not as much interaction. It was just who could outspeed each other, and I ended up getting to 100 first, but I fell victim to an early causal recursion and got forced into doing a 4th mission, and so he managed to complete his 3rd mission while I was trying to get my 4th done. So
you didn't have any bonus points that you could roll get that off the table?
I did not. It was something that I completely forgot to tech against, while totally remembering to tech against other tricks that I know were running our meta, but. I got lucky in a later game. There was another game where somebody hit me with a causal recursion, and it stuck. But I managed to get to 105 points just through missions, and I passed a 1 step ahead. Which after you pass it, you can stop a security personnel to score 5 points. So I managed to still get 3 missions. And still get the 110. But no,
I really am surprised that you're. It's funny because it seemed like everybody who was in your meta who showed up at that tournament expected everyone else to be playing some kind of jank or disruption, and then nobody played jank or disruption. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Your deck had multiple cards in it specifically for anti-battle and anti-assimilation.
Yep.
TK had, writes in his freaking deck list that he has 4 cards, and there are 5 cards in that deck specifically for dealing with assimilation. Cards that are pretty much dead against everyone else. So. Well,
I think TK talked about how for some reason he was expecting a lot of kill piles. He's like, yeah, the meta's full of kill piles. I don't see kill piles out here except from him. So I don't know where that was coming from.
Well,
But he didn't run one. I was expecting it, and he didn't run one. And yeah, I think he was expecting board because that was what Jeffrey Peterson ran last year, and he didn't. So.
See, and I would never put Jeffrey on board as my first thought of what Jeffrey was going to play. Jeffrey pulls out board when he feels like he has nothing else better to do. Like if he really doesn't feel like he has anything else that he wants to play at that moment, play board. But I would, if I was to guess Jeffrey any day of the week, I would always I'd put Jeffrey on, Bajorans or TNG or Starfleet before I put him on board. So
yeah,
Jeffrey's not really much of a high interaction player. Even if I put him on board, I wouldn't put him on assimilation. So.
But yeah, that was what he ran. That was what he ran last year. So I don't know. I guess some people were expecting it. But you're right. Yeah, everyone expected interaction, and then nobody had it.
Which, and just because one is prepared for it does not mean that one is actually able to beat it. Though I'm surprised though that there wasn't at least 2 people that full on committed to it. And that's. I guess I don't really know your meta at all, Daniel, whatsoever, as far as the long term, how it's evolved over time. But based upon what I see everyone show up with on that one particular day, I don't think any one of you were actually ready for a Tyler Fultz style, interaction deck that's going to bend you over barrel 6 ways to Sunday. So, I'm just surprised. It's very interesting, like how your meta got to that point today or last week. So
Yeah.
because it seems like everyone was ready for it, but no one was ready for like the full-on dedicated, like they're not going to do missions until they've got you under control.
Right. Yeah, no, we haven't really seen that style of deck down here. Although, the Orlando play group is sort of my secondary play group. It's that my local group is a totally different meta, and I haven't been out there as much, so I don't know exactly what everyone else plays. So most of the group I've only played a couple of times at the most. So I'm not really certain of what their meta is either. I know TK's decks very well because he comes out to our events. Sean O'Reilly comes out to both play groups. We had a couple people that drove into Orlando with me from my own group. So those are players that I have a good idea what they might play. But the players that are native to Orlando, not so much. Anyway, so Thomas Kimura, he's the regional winner. He will have he gets the bye. We played Tribbles afterward. That was a regional as well. Tribbles lasted about 20 minutes.
With 9 players.
With 9 players, we had about an hour left after the 2E event was over because the card store closed early because it was a Sunday. So the TD decided, with 9 players, the TD decided to just put everybody at one big table and see what happens. And it was over in 20 minutes.
That's shocking. I mean, that's like beyond belief shocking that a 9-player Tribbles game lasted only 20 minutes.
Somebody Masaka'd in every round and brought us to 3 every round. And 3 rounds ended with a poison hitting an antidote.
And the odds for that have got to be extremely high. I mean, wow. And was it someone different each time, or were they literally just like were they really foolish enough just to like shoot right into the same person each time?
It was different players shooting at different players, if I remember correctly.
Oh wow.
It was weird coincidences.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because
I think I hit someone once. I don't remember who else did. But...
I mean, I would never accuse anyone of cheating or collusion, but I mean, Tribbles is right for that sort of thing. And if you had someone shoot poison straight into someone's antidote 3 straight rounds, you'd start to wonder a little bit,
No, it's nothing like that.
Well, I'm glad it was nothing like that.
Anyway, the winner of the Tribbles Regional, guy that ended up on top, was Joseph Bazemore. So he will earn the Continental's head start. He went out total with 392,000. Martin Drake came in second, and I placed in 5th, and I was about 100 points ahead of the next person, so it was very close. Very close 5th place.
If there's one thing about Tribbles that's a universal, is that you can show up with an amazing deck and get your butt kicked 6 ways to Sunday. Holy cow! I've never seen a game that was more luck dependent than Tribbles in my entire life. But that's what makes it fun. You can literally just shut your brain off and just go.
Absolutely. Anyway, so that covers all of the events that took place last weekend, all the regional events. So now we're going to look ahead to this coming weekend, Week 6. And we've got one event in New South Wales, and this is the first Australian regional of the season. And this is in the Kazon Collective region, and I am guessing this is not in your region, Greg.
No, this is not my region. These guys are a bit more south.
I know Australia is a very big place.
Yeah, no, this is the largest playgroup in Australia. They usually get 10 or more people for their regionals, and this is where we hold our continentals as well. They've got
who's in this region?
They have Steve Hartman, who's Chompers and the the new Australian organised play coordinator that overtook Matthias's job.
Mm-hmm.
They also got Shane Brealey, Kieran Odden, who is honest.
Okay.
Mike, Iron Mike. Yeah, I think there's probably 3 players, in my opinion, that are just slightly above the rest of them, which is Steve, Shane, and Kieran. But they also have a bunch of other players that can win tournaments, like Jay and Craig Giblett and Mike Nugent. So this will probably be a close tournament with all the new tech. But I'm gonna.
And this is I didn't mention this is a 2E event. I didn't.
Yeah, 2E, and yeah, Steve won last year. Shane the year before that. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Steve Harmon.
Who's the player in that play group that plays like the 130 card Bajoran decks all the time?
That's Steve. Yeah, Steve made the giant Bajoran with quintessence recycling and all that.
I'll just pick him to win right now then, just because. It just seems like if there's going to be anyone then who's going to be able to use the cards that he designed in Return to Grace, it's going to be him then. So I'm sure he spent quite a bit of time, because then we come back to that whole comfort level thing, that if there's going to be someone who's going to be comfortable just simply adding some new things to his existing ideas, then it's going to be him. So I'll just go ahead and pick him right now, then see my Hostro lock of the week, of the century, of the millennium.
I'm going to go with Steve as well, as he does have the highest rating and he won last year. And I don't have a lot to go on because you mentioned that they generally get a lot of players, but right now only 4 are pre-registered. So right now it's question marks on who else is going to be there.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely have more. I mean, their last local had 7 or 8. They should definitely get 10.
Might be one of those groups where they just don't pre-register as much. Some
I think
players just not on the site as often. Did you make a prediction, Greg? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Steve.
Okay.
I think he'll win without using Bajorans. I think he'll probably play 9 or something else like Cassian.
Okay, so that's the over-under then for you, Greg, is that you're going to think he's not playing Bajorans, and I'll go with you. Then that's going to be the over-under. So.
Mike is in chat right now, and he's probably irritated.
I Mike, like he said in the regionals thread, actually, is he always brings something he's never tried to regionals, and surprisingly, it has never worked for him.
Yeah, he's in chat right now. He says most Sydney people aren't pre-registry people, so yeah. So as you said, probably going to get a larger turnout than the current listing shows. Yeah. So all right, so we're gonna move on. There are 3 more events to talk about. They are all in South Dakota, and Kevin, you are TDing these events, and
yes, I am.
You've got the whole lineup. You got 1E, 2E, and tribbles, and
yep.
We'll start with 1E. You're running a block tournament.
Yeah, this event is going to be super simple, very casual, very friendly. Basically, it's just going to be probably myself, Chris Sons to be 2 of my local players, Sean Colson, Keith Rupp. There's a couple of the Fargo guys that are probably going to come down to the tournament. Matt Hayes and Chris Volk, at the very least, I've been told, but they haven't pre-registered or confirmed this week, so I don't know if they're going to be there or not.
Matt
Those
Hayes
are probably
is pre-registered.
People. Is he pre-registered?
Yeah.
Well, when Matt Hayes says he's going to probably be at a tournament, he's like 95% sure he's going to be at a tournament. So yeah. I fully expect him to show up. So, and then John Carter has said that he is likely to come, but only if he got certain of his grad school work done in time.
Really?
So he's probably less than 50% to show. If he comes and creates an odd number, then I'm not going to play. simply because of that fact that I don't want to create an odd number of people unless everybody votes to have me play. So,
Right.
but basically, Sean, Keith, those my two local players are very new at playing First Edition. I've only been able to instruct them on block to this point because of the fact that it's got enough similarities to Second Edition with the simplicity of play that they're able to grasp it. Because let's be perfectly honest, First Edition requires an incredible amount of grasp of
There's
the
a steep
game.
learning curve, yeah.
It's a super steep learning curve on it. So we're just going to keep it simple and straightforward. It's not going to be anything too crazy or anything like that. So
Yeah.
the two of them have practiced a little bit this week. So
yeah, I noticed there's no event history for your area for 1E, so this is
that's because the last time that First Edition has ever been played in South Dakota was probably this is going to really go back in time, but I think the last First Edition Star Trek tournament that has been played in South Dakota was the South Dakota Regional in 2002.
Oh wow!
So that's going way back into the history books. Because I'm trying to think of the year it was. I graduated from SDSU in 2004. I don't think we played a regional in 03. I think we played one in 02. I have the state champion binder thing that Decipher gave out from 2002, and I don't think but if that was 2003, then correct me on that. But that's the last time that there was ever a regional, First Edition regional in South Dakota was the year that Decipher gave out those little binders that were the size of a tablet PC. So it was like a little 6-page binder thing that was about 6 pages. That's all it was. Yeah, I can bust that out sometime. But that's the last First Edition tournament that was ever ran in South Dakota, probably. So it's been a long time coming. So.
Well, that's cool to see. Your players are at least interested in branching out, and hopefully that'll stick.
Yeah, hopefully it does. There is a fanatical Magic base here in Sioux Falls, and I'm friends with a lot of them, having been a long-time Magic player myself, who's basically kind of left Magic. I'm in and out for playing Magic. I all of a sudden get the hankering and I play a whole bunch of it and invest a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden I just back out of it because I get so tired of dealing with the chase mythics and all that crap that Wizards of the Coast does to bilk money from people.
I don't spend money on Magic anymore. I have one of my friends who's a local player, in my local Trek group. She buys right around this time when like the third set of a block comes out. She buys one booster box of each set in the block, and then the two of us will just Winston draft the cards and play against each other. We don't really do tournaments anymore.
Sure.
Used to, but I just don't have that kind of money anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you got a wife, a student loan, a mortgage, and a puppy girl, paying for Magic cards is way down on the list. So, but we got a pretty fanatical Magic base here, and they're all hardcore card gamers, and that's actually how some of my players in my play group. That's how I met them, became friends with them, and taught them Star Trek and got them into it. And there's more of them that are interested, and they're the ones that are going to be coming to the Tribble, later in the day. So
okay,
maybe eventually.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. First, we'll do a prediction here on the 1E. I think my pick for this event is going to be Chris Sonsteby, because he's been on a pretty solid roll since he came back to 1E over the last year or so, and he has been playing a lot of block events, a lot of block online. So that's who I'm giving the edge to for this event.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris started playing again when Block came out, and he's been playing a lot of it, so Yeah, I'll pick him to win as well.
I don't know. I mean, Chris is easily the favorite, barring, anyone else playing. I mean, Chris is. If I end up playing, the one person who would threaten Chris would be me, simply because of the fact that when it comes to random nemesis block, I swear to God, I've got Chris's Achilles heel in my back pocket. His decks will run absolutely amazing, and then he'll play against me, and then all of a sudden I'll literally find every chink in every piece of armor he has without even trying. So, but I don't know that I'm playing. So I'm going to dark horse this, and I'm going to say that John Carter shows up and wins. I'll go with that. So, maybe if he listens to this tomorrow, then maybe that'll motivate him to show up. So.
Yes, we're going to shame him into showing up.
It's just grad school, John. I've done grad school. I did advanced grad school. I mean, come on, man. It's just passion papers. You can drive home and work on them until 2 in the morning Monday morning. You're fine.
Yeah, he certainly, if he does attend, he's certainly capable of taking the event. We're gonna move on to second edition. So you're running regular 2E standard for this, and this is later in the same day.
It's a good afternoon event.
And now, whenever we
just lost Kevin.
Oh, Kevin has dropped. We'll see if he comes back. I was gonna say right now that there are 3 pre-registered players. There he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My tablet, once it's been on Google Plus for X amount of time, basically it shuts the camera down because the camera is basically overheated. Is what I learned after speaking with Motorola tech support. They told me that it shuts the camera down for being on for too long. So
No problem.
all you're going to get now is the sound of my voice and the picture of my little puppy girl for a while. So.
That'll be fine. We're almost done. We're going to talk about second edition. Now, was going to say every time, every week before we do one of these shows, we do a little bit of preparation. I will prepare a list of what regionals are taking place each weekend, and Greg does a little bit. I'll take a look at each event and write down who's pre-registered, and just sort of make an educated guess based on who's in the lineup. And Greg tends to do a little more research, and he usually sends everyone a list of previous winners in each region. So he did that for this event, and it is all you.
It's not only is it all me going back to 2011, it's all me going back to 2008. No,
actually, going back to 2008, you lost 1. So in the last 5, you've won 4.
Oh, which one did I lose? I know I did. Okay, you're right. I did lose one, didn't I?
2009, I think it was. To Mike Harrington.
Yeah, that's right. It came down to tiebreakers, and Mike had the tiebreakers. That's right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's the only one I've dropped. I've successfully defended my home turf every year I've played second edition other than that one. So.
Now, is this one you're definitely playing in, regardless of how many players are showing up?
Yeah, probably.
You need to defend your title?
Even if we have an odd number of people, like I said, if we have an odd number of people, I throw it to the group to vote if I'm going to play or not. If it's a majority vote, yes, then I play, and I take the first round bye, so that everyone else gets a chance to play, the first round, and I don't really care to play the first round, and that's the way it's been the last couple of years. So that's probably what's going to happen again here. So. I usually end up playing because they all end up voting me in to play because they want to take my local players. A couple of them have, like Sean and Keith especially, they're highly competitive guys and they want to play against me to see if they can squeak out a win on me. So, and then of course I pretty much see Chris wanting to take me on too after the 100-0 drubbing I gave him last year. at the South Dakota Regional. So I'm pretty sure Chris is going to be motivated to want to clean my clock this year. So, I'm going to actually just say it right now, but I'm going to go ahead and call Chris as the winner this year. So, for the 2E event, because even though he himself has said he's not as prepared for 2E as he is for 1E, I think that basically what goes around comes around, and I'm going to get my butt kicked in the afternoon by Chris this Saturday. So.
Yeah, I certainly think it's gonna. I do think it's gonna come down to you or Chris. I'm going to. I'll be a little different on this one, and I'll pick you to hold on and retain your regional title.
I'll try not to disappoint you. What I'll tell you right now, Daniel, is that I'm going to be playing a deck that I've never played before. So predicting what I'm going to play is going to be impossible for you to do. Now, that being said,
never mind.
Now that being said, I don't show up to regionals or big level events and stuff like that without something that, even though if it's something I've never played before, it's gone through the ringer. So it's not something I'm going to just I'm going to scrub out for an 0-3 day. So it's interesting. It's what I would call highly explosive, but it's by no means going to necessarily just take down the day. So I'm just going to warn you right now, Daniel, that your prediction may go in vain because who knows. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I think it's going to come down to Chris or Kevin to win. I think if Chris brings like just a classic solver like a Klingon or TNG, he can win, but I don't think he's going to, so I'm going to pick Kevin.
I appreciate your guys' vote of confidence. So, the reason I put a gigantic asterisk on me winning and think that Chris is going to do it is because the fact that I know what my luck is like, and just when it seems like I shouldn't lose is exactly when I'm going to draw an opening hand of 4 ships and 3 events I can't play. So, yeah. So I appreciate the vote of confidence, guys. Hopefully I will live up to the hype, the pregame hype, and bring it home. But it's a very interesting deck that I'm going to be playing. It's a variation of something I have played before, so I know that the concept is solid. But exactly what I'm going to be doing and in what order is something that's new. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing about how it went and looking at the deck lists and seeing who does reports and whatnot after the event. So, now you are finishing off with Tribbles, but you've got it listed. I had to look at a couple different places because, I think the regional schedule's got it linked wrong, but you've got Tribbles that day and you have Tribbles the next day.
Here's the thing, and if our director of organized play has a problem with this, he can private message me. I don't really care. But this is South Dakota. This is not exactly New York City, okay? This is not, I don't have a player base that is some long-time established hardcore group of guys or whatever. I've got guys coming from Fargo. I got Chris coming from the cities. I potentially have John Carter coming down from Omaha. I have local guys who, if I can wrangle them for one day for playing, something a long day, that's what I'm going to get out of them. And that's what they're going to have an interest in doing, and they're not going to show up like the next day. I officially scheduled it on Sunday, and this was the reason why. Way back when I had to schedule it, me and some of the same guys who are going to be there going to be playing on Saturday, we are now involved in a newly formed curling league in Sioux Falls. And the curling league was scheduled to be played on Saturday night.
What?
So we scheduled Tribble for Sunday morning, assuming that what was going to happen is that we were going to end up playing first edition, then playing second edition, then doing our barbecue, and then like we're gonna go play in this curling league, and the other guys were gonna come watch and cheer us on, and then they were gonna spend the night and then play triples the next morning. Well, when the curling league schedule came out, the ice arena, they were pre-booked by the local semi-pro hockey team for that Saturday night for practice, for playoff scheduling. And so we had to actually purchase Sunday night. And so now this is just the 1 week of the season that we play Sunday night instead of Saturday night for the curling league. So that opened up Saturday night actually just playing triples. And so I sent out the word to everybody that I knew was going to be playing, and I put it on the website, and I made it perfectly clear for everyone who can see it, including you guys, that it's very likely that the Triples Regional will actually happen on Saturday night, because if everyone says to me on Saturday night, we're not going to be there tomorrow morning, well, there you go. But you should have every reason to be there on Saturday night, since if you're going to be there for second edition, the barbecue, whatever.
Ready, right.
They're all ready. So just in the same vein that your guys' shop closed down early on you and you had to roll with the punches, that's kind of how we do things here too, that we just kind of roll with the punches. And if the director of organized play has a problem with that, then that's fine. I'll deal with that. I'll roll with that punch too. But,
I doubt that'd be a big issue. And as long as you get it in.
You know, if everybody shows up and plays on Saturday night, I will hold those results. And then if Sunday morning no one shows up, well, everyone understood that what they played last night was the reason. So that's how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they do show up on Sunday, then I'll just enter the results for each tournament as they are. So,
yeah, then you have a regional Sunday, and you just had a really good Saturday night.
Exactly.
Another triples event.
So there has been talk of this triples thing happening at the new casino.
Wow.
So it might be combination triples, craps, and poker. Who knows? But no, it'll be a good time. Big old barbecue in the backyard. Play a bags tournament too. It'll be a good time.
Sounds good. It's gonna be hard to make predictions for this one because it's gonna depend on which day is the actual regional and who's staying. So who might actually be there Sunday. So
I'll give you the names of the people that I'm fairly certain are going to be playing. It's going to be Chris. It's going to be Matt Hayes. It's going to be Chris Wolf. It's going to be myself, Sean Colson, Keith Ruff, Nate Lindgren, Aaron Arnold are all going to be there for sure. These are all the people that are going to be there, probably 100% guaranteed.
For Saturday night.
For Saturday night. And then Preston Holita is like 95% sure he's going to be there. His biggest problem is whether or not his work ends up screwing him over and he has to leave early, go back to work or something like that. But he's probably going to be there too. And then I've got 2 to 3 new guys, Magic players, are going to show up. One guy's name is Brent, another guy's name is Mark. They have played some triples before. They'll just be borrowing decks from myself or whoever has some extra decks. But they know the game. They'll be fine. And I'm going to just tell you right now that I would have no clue who's going to win. So you can just pick one of those names and go with it because, if there's one thing that I know about triples is that anyone can win at any time. So.
Yeah, it certainly could be, especially if there's going to be as many players as you say there are. It could be a chaotic event.
I'm going to go, though, with Keith because, and this is my reason for it, of all the people that are in my play group who can all of a sudden just magically run hot at triples for no reason, it's going to be Keith. So I'm going to predict Keith is going to be the guy who ends up winning our triple time.
All right.
Chris Volk won this one last year, and what I found was that not only did he win this one, he won every triples regional in Cardassia. So that's 3 last year. He was really hot, so I'm going to pick him to do it again this year.
Cardassia?
Cardassia, is that the region we're talking about? Andoria, sorry. Yeah, Andoria.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Cardassia, that's my region, yeah.
No, we're in Andoria. It's cold here, supposedly.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Greg. And I think I'm gonna just to throw a name out there. I'll pick Chris Volk as well. That'll be my prediction for triples.
Now, just you watch, guys. Now, just you watch. What's going to happen is, like, one of my new Magic players coming over, like Brent's going to all of a sudden just like tear it all up and make us all
He's
look
gonna
like
sweep
fools.
everything. Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah. I think with triples predictions, I'm 0 for like 10 so far this year. Triples is it's impossible.
Yeah, it's hard to predict. You can't predict triples really. I mean, we can take a stab at it, but that's gonna cover all of our events for this weekend. So, Kevin, want to thank you for being on the show with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm glad that you guys are doing this year. It's like I said in the forums, it definitely took the pressure off me from doing my meta shakedown this year. I just haven't had the time or the desire to really like pour myself into it. My work schedule has changed, has been shifting a little bit, and so forth. And then, some stuff going on outside of work here in my personal life with some different things. I just haven't had the time to really. Because I mean, it was not like it was something I could just hammer out in an hour. It would take me anywhere from 4 to 7 hours to hammer one of those articles out. And that's quite a bit of a time commitment on one's day off. So, I just wasn't able to do it this year. I keep making this promise that I'm going to put one out here, but I never seem to be able to do it. So I'm going to stop making promises I can't keep. So, I'm going to hope to put one out that kind of wraps everything up here once the regionals are done and continentals are on the horizon. So
yeah, sounds like a good idea. And yeah, it's we have seen a little bit more where we've seen a little more variety in the articles. With me and Greg, with us doing the podcasts, and Lucas Thompson doing some of the deck analysis for 1E, and now we've got Mike Harrington doing some analysis articles for 2E, and his first one's up now. He's looking at Michael Van Bremen's deck from Illinois. So if you haven't seen that article, go check that out on the site. It's we're getting a little bit more variety and a lot of people talking about regionals, so I really like that. But Kevin, really appreciated you being on the show this week, and good luck with your regionals.
Well, I appreciate it again. I appreciate it, guys, and I'll do the best I can to hold up your prediction for me to take down second edition. I'll do the best I can, and we'll go from there. And if you guys want me on in the future, I'm available. So, and you guys have a great weekend yourself.
All right. Once again, for those listening, we do this every Wednesday night, streaming live at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, then send me a PM on the forums to OK Coyote. Next week, we're going to have Ryan Sutton back on the show. He was on earlier this season, and I think he's got more local regionals coming up, so we'll be talking to him next week. So until then, for Kevin Jaeger and Greg Dillon, this is Daniel Madison, ending transmission.